Welcome back, pod people, to a brand new episode of Cinema d'Amore. I'm your host, Justin, and I'm here with...
Justin.
And I fucking lied to you guys last week. I said that movie was kind of a downer, and maybe I would pick a comedy. I didn't.
It's hilarious.
I picked a hilarious movie, Incendies by Denis Villeneuve, which I think kind of almost gets me seeing all of his films. I still guess I haven't seen the first two, August 32nd on Earth and Maelstrom. I did see Polytechnic, which is basically it's based off of, I think Polytechnic is the school, but it's based off of a real life mass shooting situation. It's also not uplifting. He doesn't really do uplifting.
I mean, they've gotten less depressing over the years.
He's also gotten more kind of mainstream because after Incendies, he kind of makes the jump to bigger actors, and because he's doing Prisoners, he's doing Enemy. I don't know technically which one was first.
I think Enemy was first.
Enemy seems like it is like slightly lower budget, smaller movie. In Prisoners, he's got Deacons and like a well-known cast, and then he starts getting into it's Sicario, Arrival, the Blade Runner sequel, and now Dune, Dune 2, Dune 3, and Bond. So it's all pretty as mainstream as it could possibly be with the guy now. But this was a weak point. I didn't expect it to be a happy-go-lucky type film. It might have been more depressing than I was expecting, though. Maybe a little darker than I was expecting. It's currently on Tubi. That's where I watched it with the ads, and the ads suck. I'm just sick of...
They were in this is a movie that's, the ads just feel... I mean, they always feel out of place when you're watching a movie that shouldn't have ads in it, but this one was particularly the darkest, most depressing things imaginable. And it's come on down for the Memorial Day sale at C. Harper.
I think I'm just fucking sick of ads in general. That I'm tired of them. We get ads all the time, nonstop.
You even get ads for when you pay for stuff.
Yeah.
They still give you ads.
Yeah, you pay, you shouldn't be getting ads, and then they're like, there's a premium service, or give us all the ads up front or something. I mean, they know we're probably they're gonna walk away and they're not really gonna to watch the ads, but if they're in the middle of Incendies during this crazy ass scene, they're gonna stay put for 6 minutes before the comes up. There's a Blu-ray release of it. I guess I could have done that. I've been hearing about it for some time, and it was just kind of on a whim that I just wanted to do something that I hadn't seen, because I think the next couple movies I choose are going to be movies I have seen. I'm just going to make you see them. That's that's where I'm going with that. Incendies is obviously French, and then some sort of Arabic. Because it takes place
specific there.
What's that?
Said real specific there.
Well, what would the language be?
I don't know what it is.
Lebanese?
The movie is not set in Lebanon.
Well, the movie is based off of Lebanon, and it's set in Canada, which is obviously a real place, and a fucking made-up place.
Do you think?
What do you mean? Canada's fake?
I don't recognize Canada as a real place.
Because it's not our 51st state?
Yeah. Once it becomes part of the U.S., then I'll recognize it.
Yeah, they make it based in this vague Middle Eastern country that they never really say where. I mean, they give names like, what's the there's a college, Daresh or something. Because in the middle of the movie, I was like, where the hell's Daresh University? And it was not a real place. Not a real place. Doesn't exist. So I was like, okay. Because I was just trying to get this figured out in my head, the geography of it. And the movie's not exactly what I was thinking or expecting either, because the ending of this movie, you can't I don't think you can. I don't think you I don't think that that's something that's gonna come in the person's head and they're gonna figure out real early on in the movie. But on top of it, I thought it was more about the children, because the premise is the only thing I knew, is that it's about a mom who passes away, and for her 2 surviving children at their will reading, she kinda makes them like an ultimatum that's like, "I don't wanna be buried traditionally with a tombstone where everyone can see my name and everything, unless you can deliver these 2 letters to A, your father who you thought was dead, and B, your brother that you didn't know that you had." And they have to go back to not as dangerous of a time, but seemingly still kind of a dangerous place for them to have to travel back to this other country with their I guess the daughter's more inclined to do it, so the daughter goes first. And later we get the brother and the lawyer, aka their mom's former employer. She was
He's
their
a notary. Come on.
He's a notary? I don't know. He
He
seemed to
makes a
know
big deal about notaries, like multiple times throughout the movie.
how can he run a business as just that? I don't know.
That's a lucrative business. Everyone needs a notary.
But to, like, employ her for that long and be as friendly as he is to her, I don't know. He seemed like he had a lot more going on in like, with other cases and stuff. I don't know.
Those are all just notaries, man. He just notarizes stuff.
I know notaries that aren't that lucrative, so whatever he's doing right. But yeah, I did. I watched the movie. I don't know. Sometimes they don't flat out tell you. You have to
I feel
piece
like
it
they
together.
flat out say he talks about it so much. That guy loves being a notary so much.
He talks about notarizing, I guess, but
That's all he talks about. He goes through that whole thing where he's like, look at my wall of notarization. These are my father's notarizations. These are my grandfather's notarizations. We're notaries.
I don't know. Maybe not the biggest thing that I picked up on in the whole movie. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that was the main plot point.
About the
I know
notary.
what you. It was all about the notaries.
I don't know how long the episode goes for, but we just talk about the notary for like 40 minutes, and I'm like, all right, that was pretty much it. I mean, still odd relationship that he too is willing to travel to said Middle Eastern country, and his weird connections and stuff, who have their own connections.
Well, she gets her one connection from like the professor at her college, and he's like, I got a guy I can have you meet with. And as soon as she gets there, it's like, what? And that guy told you to come see me? I don't know anything about these people. Why'd he send you to see me? It's like immediately a failure.
Yeah, I guess the 2 things I weren't expecting is it kind of is a detective story, the way that they have to gain information and talk to the right people and find the right people. And then I don't think I was expecting so much with the mother, because as you know, this movie likes to show us a lot of stuff that's going on with the mother in the past. So we're piecing things together, and we're almost I mean, we're with the mom more than we are with them in the present day. You know, we go back as far as I think 1970 is the oldest that we go, where we see her that she's pregnant, and the love of her life who got her pregnant is murdered by her family. And we realize, like, in the region that what's happening is like there's just this kind of war that's starting to brew between the Christians and the Muslims. And she is a Christian and her man wasn't. And I don't know. The Christians are very violent in this movie. That's that I'll put that out there. So if you don't have a strong stomach for violence, then maybe don't watch it. But you know me, I'm always going to recommend it. But yeah, we kind of go back to that period of time where, you know, she has the baby. the mom's like, I fucking hate you, but let's okay, we'll help you give birth, and then we're gonna give this child up for adoption. She right after the birth, or when her mom walks in and the birth has already happened, takes the baby, gives the baby these like weird tattoos on the baby's feet, which we recognize from like the beginning opening shot of all these kids getting their head shaved. And what we find out is that they've been like taken over by the like Islamic regime military. Like they're going to take them in and kind of make them into soldiers. But yeah, we realize that that little boy in the beginning is this
Yeah, he's with
kid.
the Christians.
What's that?
I think that's when he was with the Christians.
When they were shaving his head already before they
Yeah.
took over?
Yeah, why would the Islamists shave his head?
I don't know. He was bald when he was with them. Why would the Christians shave his head?
Because they were the ones that turned him into a torturer. I mean,
Oh,
it could be the Islamists too.
that's what
I guess he did have
that's that.
hair. He did have hair later, but
Yeah, I'm sorry. I misspoke. No, I'm in agreement with you. It was when the Christians took over and they were shaving his head. I just said the wrong
yeah,
thing.
all right.
Why don't
It
you?
does get confusing from time to time. It keeps going back and forth. It's like
Well,
who's being angry now?
I honestly thought like at the very beginning, I mean, obviously knew that there was this war, but I wasn't like 100% sure what religion the family was up until like a little bit further. I guess like in the very beginning, they're like when they're giving the kids her belongings, one of them is the cross necklace that she wears. But at that point, I didn't know if she was a Christian, like in a Christian family, which is what she was. But I thought maybe she like converted, or she could have possibly converted. But then later we find out that they didn't want anything to do with the Muslims, and they just wanted to get rid of that kid. And it was really kind of awful, just sort of like you tainted our blood and you ruined our family tree, and we're getting the kid up for adoption, and we're going to send you to schools so you can become smart. And she wants to come find her kid. That's pretty much her obsession. Her obsession's trying to find this child and making her way back to the old country and trying to find the school. And when she gets to the school, it's already been destroyed, and just trying to figure out what happened to this kid and where he had gone. And obviously this is another movie where like post-mortem the kids don't know anything about their parent or parents. I guess they do learn about both their parents. But yeah,
Yeah,
it gets pretty brutal. I mean, I think that I do think that Villeneuve is a good director. Obviously, I think he's kind of been very good at everything he's done. I think these earlier movies are still very good, even if the style doesn't necessarily stand out as much. I mean, I feel like this one cuts a lot more than like his current movies. Like he loves the really linger and hold on shots, and that doesn't happen too often in this. Like even like the main shot that you see that's on the poster with her and the fire in the background is still like a minute tops, a couple seconds, 30 seconds maybe. I don't know. It's like his longest shot in the whole thing. A lot of cuts, like she's walking, cut she's on a bus, or in the back of a truck or whatever. And would you say that she lives a happy life, Charles?
I don't think so.
The only ones that like
Doesn't
kind of have a
ever.
good life are the twins, and they don't.
I don't even think that we don't even see enough of their life to see that it was happy. I think maybe it was like okay, because it seems like well the daughter seems to like feel slightly different about it, but the son pretty much from the beginning, even when we find that she gets taken to the hospital and they're like, does she get confused? And the son's like, she's always confused. Like the son's like seems to seems to have like be like, yeah, she's been a burden to the family for a long time now. Like she's always been this way since we've known her, which we find out later why she's that way because of like the terrible life she led in her home country. And even her boss is like, I thought I knew her. I thought she was just a perfectly normal lady, and yeah, apparently I don't know her at all.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly have issues with her, and the son is more, like, against the bullshit and doesn't wanna do any of her crazy ass shit. So, like, yeah, maybe they're up.
He's probably like the weakest part of the movie too, which maybe that's why he's in it the least. Like that actor, I just think
Yeah.
isn't like he's maybe. I feel like the two performances that stand out the most are probably the mother and daughter. Out of everyone in the movie, everyone else is like okay to yeah. Like the
Or they
son's
don't get
not that.
enough screen time really, like, or if they
Yeah,
do, it's like, yeah, you said the son or their notary friend.
yeah. It's one of those. Like I said, I don't know if he purposely structured it that way because the son's barely in the movie. He's in the beginning when they get the will, and then the daughter goes there, and then we bounce back and forth between her in the current time and the mother living her life, and then the son doesn't show back up again until like the last half hour of the movie. The movie's over 2 hours long, so he's barely in like a quarter of the entire movie.
Yeah, but I don't think the daughter's, like, in it that much either.
I mean, the
Obviously,
mom's definitely in it
the
the
most, yeah, like,
most.
almost the whole
Yeah.
story revolves around her and what
But
she's going through.
she's at least in it. Even the screen time might be the same, but she's like at least in it throughout. Like it's
Yeah.
going. She's at least actively doing something.
And he only pops up when, like, he's the most needed, where she kinda gets to a point where she can't go any further, and the notary back in Canada, the notary's like, Your sister's been there for a while, she might be missing, and we should go look for her." And when they get there and they make their contacts, the guy's like, Your sister's fine. She's literally the easiest person for me to find right now. She's" But it gets into, like, a scenario where he's gotta meet with some dangerous people that only seem to, like, I don't think a woman would be able to get that far. Like, it
Yeah,
had to be the brother, and even though it was, like, an ex-warlord that he had to meet up with, like, it seems super sketchy, like, "We're going to go to a poor town, we're gonna stand out, this guy's gonna come to us," and them coming to him was basically like, "We're gonna blindfold you mafia style or, and take you to some place that you don't know to see if you wanna talk to this guy," and
yeah. Do like the plan is just show up there, walk around until someone invites you to tea, and it's just they're just like walking around in circles, just be like, I don't know. I hope someone asks us for tea soon.
yeah. And I mean, the tea scene we see earlier too with the daughter, she comes across, like, she goes to the old village that her mom's from and finds all these women, and they invite her in for tea. I guess that just happens a lot with the strangers. They're like, "Who's that
Yeah,
person? I don't know. Let's invite them in for tea. Let's get some gossip and figure out their story." And I might mix up the timeline a little bit, but when she brings up who her mother is, and they're all like, "Fuck that. Fuck her." It's like, what the hell could she possibly have done besides, I think at that point we only knew that she had that kid, but it's like, no, she's done a awful lot of shit, which, I mean,
she may or may not have assassinated a guy.
she may have she may or may not have assassinated somebody that they loved, and yeah, I mean, and I don't also, like, we do get her backstory or, leading up to the moment of can't find don't know where my kid is, taking the bus ride, I'm assuming back out of the country when we get to, like, the one of the most horrific scenes in the whole damn thing, which is the Christians have basically taken over the bus. They're like, she wakes up, they're arguing with the bus driver, immediately take the guy out. immediately shoot up the bus. There's only like a few people that seem to have survived in there, like of the full bus. And it just sort of becomes like this, just like a terrible scenario, like a horror scenario. Like this would be a horror movie. This could be a horror movie, this whole bus scene. And it gets to the point where like they're pouring gasoline on top of the bus and it's dripping down. And I'm like, how the fuck did they get out of this? Which she uses her Christianity to get out of it, which is like, obviously, hopefully anyone that's listening have seen the movie, but when I say uses her Christianity, it's not like she uses her faith. It's like, it's just sort of like a last reaction to be like, I got the cross. Maybe that's my last resort of possibly getting out. And they do let her go. And there's another woman with her kid. And she's like, that's my daughter. And the kid's immediately like, that's not my mom. Like she's arguing it, but like, yeah, they kill everybody. And that kid runs back to her mom and gets like blown away too. So, and they leave her in the desert with the burning bus. And she just fucking had it with these people. And I mean, I don't know how much time passes, but she gets an opportunity to more or less assassinate the leader of this like Christian movement that's happening there. And she takes it. And like you said, we don't know if she did kill the guy or not. I don't know if they ever really talk about it, but I know that she's in the prison for, they said,
I
13
looked up the
years.
real life story because I did Google it, and she did not. Like the character that this is based off of did not. So I think that might be why they kind of leave it up to like, I don't know, maybe this version did succeed because like
Yeah.
the person that it's based off of, they failed in their attempt. They like just shot him in the shoulder, and the guy did survive.
Also, I was feeling like they don't really say why, like, they don't really say like her sentence was 13 years. It almost sounds like that facility ends 13 years after she's there. So, like, maybe there's a new regime or something and they let her go.
Probably. They just like freed everybody that was in there.
Yeah, because I'm
Probably
like,
the
if you assassinated like one of the biggest political people in the area and you only get like 13 years, it seems kind of like nothing.
there's yeah there and I do like the way there are like the parallels between the mother's story and like the daughter going there, and it's like all these terrible things that happen, and like when they go to the prison, I don't know, like almost like she's expecting more, but it's been empty, and it's more or less like a tourist thing. Like the guy that's like showing her around, like, you want to get in the cell? I'll take a picture of you.
Mm-hmm.
Because like he's like offering that, and it's like I don't think she wants a picture in the cell where like her mother was.
And there's always like one other person where like the guy that worked there was the janitor. And he's like, I know bad shit happened there. I can tell you a little bit about your mom. And, the reason she stands out is because she was singing all the time. And then, but he's like, but it's always like, I mean, he's there's easily like 8 or 9 times where they like run into a character and they're like, you're going to want to find this person. I'll take you to go see them because this person was like the nurse there and they're going to know more. And, maybe tensions are still kind of high. I'm assuming that this movie is supposed to take place in modern times. So, I'm guessing like 2009 or something whenever they were filming it. And we know that the the farthest back that we see the mom is in the 70s. And this is like a war that went on till like for 2 decades, pretty much. So yeah, it definitely spans some time. It usually sticks very close to the mother. You kind of get this idea of like, yeah, the mother has this like terrible life, but it's not really much of her own doing unless you want to take the like assassination attempt. You know, that was definitely her decision to make. And I don't even know how much time passed, between then because these kids, we find out that the kids are born during this time.
I would assume they're in like their mid 20s.
Yeah, so this had to be
Which would be like if it's like 2009 and they're in like their mid 20s, then they were probably born in like mid 80s.
yeah. Yeah, I guess that would line up. And I think that was the only time when like oh well, us as the audience, we knew that she already had a kid. And when they were talking about, when the kids discover that the mom was brutally raped by her torturer, she had a torturer, and she got pregnant. They were like, "Oh, that's where our brother came from." And that's like probably one
Yeah.
of the few times where the audience is like, "No, this is where you guys came from." Because even like they have like the birth scene, and they always do it with twins. They're like, "Are you ready for the second one?" Second one, like that's always how twins are in movies. It's the trope that's always going to stay there. Yeah, we see the torturer for a little bit. They do more or less find out that their brother is probably possibly still alive, which is why they have to talk to the warlord. That's where they kind of get that last bit of information to figure out where their brother has been and what he has done. And the only like bit I can't what the hell was his name? Nihad. So the
Yeah.
only little bit that we get of him in this like weird I guess it feels like present day, but we find out that it's not present day. Where like he's still where it's like I guess the tail end of the war and he's just straight up sniping kids for fun. Like that's
Yeah.
that's what he's doing. Because I honestly thought that like it starts with the kids and everything's so like war torn that it's really kind of hard to pinpoint a time.
Yeah.
And you see the like one kid get taken out, and then it goes into the point of view of the shooter, and you see the shooter has the tattoos on his ankle or whatever, his heel. So oh, that's him, and he's just like sniping kids for funsies. And that's kind of the history that we get with him, and I feel like that was kind of expected. I expected him to have grown up as some sort of like militia person, especially since the beginning is just all these kids getting their heads shaved, and it's like off the war fuckers. Like that's kind of like the vibe that
Yeah.
it gave us. I would be interested in the tattoo though. Like, what is that something that was common, or is that just something that worked out for the movie?
I mean, I think it was just a way that they could prove that that was the son.
Because they immediately
Like,
knew they were going to put him up for adoption.
yeah. Like, I don't think it's something like because no one else seems to have it in the movie, so I don't think it's like a very common thing. But it's just like they know to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, you could tell it was going to be important right off the bat. I didn't necessarily think it was a tattoo when they showed it in the opening scene. I thought it was like going to be like a weird birthmark, yeah, or some like injury or something like that. But yeah, we find out that
This movie has a common element with. I didn't after we finished watching the movie, or I finished watching the movie, we didn't watch it together.
yeah,
That it has, and I don't know if this is on purpose or, and I know this is based on like a stage play that
hmm
Villeneuve adapted it from, and I'm like, is this in the play? It's 100% the story of Silk Spectre in Watchmen,
yeah,
where it's like basically the way that like she gets Doctor Manhattan to come back to Earth is like him seeing her memories of like her finding out who her father is, and he's like, oh my god, that's a miracle that those people are the same, like the guy that you hate and like is a terrible person. You
hmm
now you found out that he's your father and you've lived with that. And I'm like that's like the exact same plot point in Watchmen.
yeah. I feel like this whole movie kind of has like there's sort of a tension. The tension's not as crazy as something like Sicario, but there's a constant tension to where they're at. I mean, we are seeing people being murdered, buses being torched. We see people assassinating children for fun. So like, it definitely is a more brutal time. They seem to be kind of like in the modern times, at least, not as nervous about the area. Although, like, like there's almost no worry whatsoever for the son to go meet up with the warlord, which sounds like he'd be like a very fucking scary person. And there's like, yeah, I mean, I think once you explain yourself and who you are, I think it'll be kind of cool with you. And they were right. He kind of was. Once he was like, oh, that's all you want to know? Like that foreigner or whatever. Take your mask off. I'll talk to you. And I mean, I guess like what the time I think I laughed in the whole movie was like when they went to go pick him up at his hotel room, and he's like, "Can I make a call?" And they're like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, give me a minute." And they're like, "He's calling somebody, isn't he?" And they're like, "Yeah, I don't give a shit." But there is a moment of tension too when they leave, because they leave through that metal detector, and they both go off, so they're clearly carrying firearms. But yeah, he was a cool warlord, I guess, and he was willing to give up the information about this guy, and he sort of was like, I don't understand how why you think this is your brother. And I think his name's Simon's the brother's son. He's like, listen,
Jihad? What are you talking about?
her actual son, who's talking to
The twin?
the twin,
Yeah.
the male twin, where he's like trying to convince the warlords, like, how do you know that? Why do you think this is your brother? And he's like, we just have some guys, and like, it has to be. He was the only one. They explained the math to me. He was the only person that had been put in that facility at that time. So this would have to be his name. And so yeah, they reveal that. But then the scene where like he's back with his sister and they're kind of putting everything together, and it's just sort of like, I think he's like, what if 1 + 1 = 1? And I honestly for a second was like, what the fuck does that even mean? And she like gasps, and we find out that I get the big reveal is that their father is their brother. And I kind of like the scene that plays out where like we've seen the mother at this pool, like swimming around with her daughter and everything. And so we know that this person's alive, and they're in, of all places, Canada. And I really did like, they have like this great reveal where she's like all depressed and crazy, and she's swimming and she sees those marks on on the feet. So she's like kind of like excited, I think, for like a moment where she's like, I found him. And then she immediately realizes who he is, that she's her rapist, and he doesn't recognize her at all. And so we get the scene where like they find the guy, they give him the envelopes, they don't really say much, and they take off. It's almost like a you got served type situation where the guy's like, I have no idea what you're giving me. And
I mean, he does seem like I don't even know, not afraid or nervous, but it is almost like he's basically like he's been expecting someone to like find him this whole time. Like he's definitely nervous about it, not necessarily scared of them, but he is kind of like, why are people
yeah,
showing up to my house with things?
I mean, he's more or less a war criminal. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, he gets the 2 letters, and the first one he opens up to the father, and she basically is calling him out for being a piece of shit, and all the like, you fucking ruined my life type situation. And then the son one, like for her son, that envelope is the one that's like, you gave me the motivation to go on in life, and I'm so happy, and I loved you so much. And yeah, so this movie is a very bleak film. I kind of underestimated the bleakness of it. I didn't see that twist coming. I honestly, obviously became more invested the more that we got of the backstory of the mom as it went along, because I feel like, even though the kids were like, or at least the son of the twins was like throwing up his hands and was like, I'm not doing this shit. This is so stupid. I would have been like, I don't know. We're never, I'd have been like, we're never going to find these people. I don't know how to search for these people. So just let her get buried in a, a nameless grave upside on her stomach like she wants. But I did think it was a good movie and I would recommend it. But I mean, at this point too, I really hope that you, as a listener, aren't listening to this without having watched the movie already. I would probably recommend. I saw that there is a Blu-ray. Just buying the Blu-ray or waiting for it to pop on like a streaming service where you don't have to wait for the ads, like we said. But no, I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought the acting in it with the mother was great, and nothing seemed really out of place with the daughter. The son was all right, but like you said, he was underused, or the notary maybe overused.
You can never have too much notary.
Yeah, I need to learn
He
more
talks about how important. He talks about how important it is. It's like if we wouldn't be fighting over all this land if all those guys back in the day just had a notary to sign off on their deeds.
I think that's more wishful thinking, or more positive thinking. Maybe more positive than it actually would be. Yeah, I don't know 100% all what it was based off of that was reality. Obviously, the assassination attempt and that prison. I don't know if anything else, like the bus, was a specific thing that happened. I almost feel like it would have been. Yeah, it's 100% a play, not a. I thought maybe there had happened to be like a novel too.
Nope. Then he just goes to the theater and is just like, "Yep, making that a movie."
Yeah, I wonder how that happens. I see that it was adapted at least twice. There's another movie. I wonder if it's more uplifting. Probably not.
It's the happy version of the story.
But I mean, also, like, somebody saw this. This has to be the movie that, like, they gave him the prisoners money.
Yeah.
I don't really I mean, even, like, unless Enemy was out and, I mean, I know that it was released the same year as Prisoners, but maybe, like, Enemy was made and they weren't able
Might
to
have worked on it
fully.
first, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe, like, a select few of people saw it. But yeah, I mean, good for him for breaking out. I do think that he is one of the better directors out there. Like, almost every single thing I think that he's done has been very good, at least direction-wise. I don't really know how much he's been producing. I think the real test is gonna be Dune 3, because it's based off of an insane book, and I just kinda wanna see what he does. Because even his first 2 Dune movies, he does take out a little bit of the crazy. Like, he tones it down a hair, and then there's a lot of weird shit in the next book, so does he just go wild? I feel like it's gotta be, like, somewhere in between, and then we'll get more of them. Yeah. We'll end up getting more Dunes, but they'll be recast in a cheaper budget or just on TV or so. Like, they'll definitely continue it on past Messiah, pretty sure, but not to the same quality. And yeah, Incendies is a translation, French translation that means scorched, which I guess could, obviously be an analogy for what happened to Noel, our mother character. If I'm saying that right. Noel.
Sounds right.
But yeah, I mean, that pretty much covers it. Chuck, would you recommend it to people?
I would.
Would you
Might be one
recommend
of
it?
those movies you only watch once, but
I probably would end up watching it again. I did see something that somebody was like, I saw this movie years ago and loved it, and I forgot what happened. And they're like, that's trauma. That's your brain blocking out the trauma in your life. But yeah, or a buddy who's been on this podcast before, Alex. It might be confusing it a little bit, but he does like a bleak week where he just watches. And I feel like, oh, this must have been one of his bleak week ones, and I just forgot about that aspect of it. I was surprised by the end though. I didn't put that together. I didn't think that was what was going to happen. I mean, I kind of was thinking that like they were going to find the brother and the brother was going to be like no coming back from the life that he led.
Yeah.
Which is kind of right, but not in the way I envisioned it. But yeah, I mean, and then it's, I guess I'd say, very grounded in the way that it's shot and the way that it's told. And I think it's really well done in the way that they edit the stories together, where we keep getting flashbacks of what's happening with the mother, but we're seeing the stuff that's happening with the mother, and we're not necessarily, it's not something that the kids are learning. Like, we're not seeing this, or like the kids would have already have known from the first flashback that their brother had been born way before them. But that would be quite a shocker, huh, Chuck? Find out that you do have a brother and your brother's your father, and you're like, oh my fucking God. Could do a DNA test, but I doubt that guy would be on 23andMe. Especially since you said he has that post-war life where, did they show what he's doing in Canada?
I think he's just a janitor.
He's a janitor. Yeah, I thought they showed
like cleaning.
Yeah, so he's got like a very.
Everybody's just a janitor after the war.
I mean,
one guy that was in the prison's a janitor. He's a janitor. Everyone's just a janitor. It's the only job everyone gets.
I mean, I also feel like, realistically, if you are a war criminal and you're trying to hide post all these war crimes, you do pick the jobs that just don't stand out. You are a person that you don't want to stand out. You don't want things drawn towards you. But yeah, they find out where they're from, and I think there's a point in the movie. It typically happens in these types of movies too, where they're searching for information, and they're like, "I don't think you want the answer. Like, you just turn away now and don't ask more questions because you don't want to know what happened." Which would make for like the shittiest movie of all time, to be like, we really wanted to tell you about it, but as we said, it's just horrible. It's our horrid scenario that plays out. So we're not going to tell you what happens. But yeah, I guess we'll have to go back. I have to find two more. Did you see Polytechnic?
This is the oldest, the earliest of his movies that I've seen. I haven't seen the other ones he did before that.
Nice. And this was a first-time viewing for you as well. All right, good. That makes me happy. I mean, I didn't really think that it was going to be a terrible movie directed by him, but I do kind of tend to think like the earlier movies are usually, even the best directors, like worst films. They usually bury those ones. Like Incendies, that's my first movie. I've definitely seen more movies before that. No, those aren't really movies. Don't go looking for those. You don't want to see those. But yeah, big Canadian film. They shot some of it in Jordan. For a second, I was like, did they Montreal and Jordan? I was wondering if there was a place in Canada that like they were able to pull off to look like it could be the Middle East, but nope, they couldn't do it. And this is the last one where, like, as far as I know, these aren't big actors. Like, I think the main woman says that she was in, like, Body of Lies in a small role. Obviously didn't stand out to me. But yeah, hopefully next episode that Chuck chooses, he chooses something more uplifting. But maybe not. Maybe he'll just get darker. All right. Guys, thanks for listening, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with Chuck's pick. Whatever his uplifting pick is. Thanks for listening.
This is Cinema d'Amore. follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky for upcoming episodes. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and wherever podcasts are heard. Subscribe, rate, review, and above all else,